Hey everyone, Scott here to discuss Resident Evil, starring Mila Jovovich, Michelle Rodriguez, Ryan McCluskey, and Eric Mebius, and directed by Paul W.S. Anderson. Now, I have seen this before, and it's been years, so let's see if it's as good as I remember. Let's get into the movie, and I have seen all the movies, but I'll talk about them on other shows. We get a narration off what happened to Raccoon City before the movie starts, which is a typical catch up video game movie kind of bullshit to begin with, as we open up at a laboratory in Umbrella Corporation creating some kind of antidote. As I don't know what it is, and it breaks everyone and is locked up and get killed by some fucking fire drill, as it not only scares the employees from the lab elevator and the dogs bark like crazy, and all this is so fucking stupid while the elevators are down and not moving an inch until they break themselves apart as Umbrella is trying to trap all their employees to suffocate and become zombies of some kind, and one woman almost escapes and the elevator moves itself and kills the woman in half, which makes no fucking sense whatsoever. We move on to Alice, played by Mila Jovovich, waking up in the shower as she can't remember what the fuck happened before she got knocked out, and walks around and finds guns in her drawer and puts on a red dress that'll last this entire movie. As she goes outside and gets frightened by some crows as the house closes itself and someone grabs her, whom I'm guessing is her husband, but doesn't know it, named Matt, played by Eric Mebius, and some badasses come in, and I'm leading to believe she was one of those soldiers, and they're led by a man named One, played by Colin Salmon, and the other soldiers are Kaplan, JD, Rain, played by Michelle Rodriguez, and Medic, as Alice has a wedding ring on her and has visions of Matt and her getting married, as he can't remember who he is, and it felt obvious that his name was Matt, and we learned the marriage is a fake, while One tells Alice who they are and whom they work for, which is the Umbrella Corporation. And is this making any sense? Hell no. As this movie is truly awful to begin with, and these aren't characters, they're caricatures, as they're very problematic, and other than this is a shooting movie based on a shooting game, what is the plot of this movie? And if it has one, it makes no goddamn sense. The cinematography here is absolutely ugly, as this is an ugly looking movie, with Alice not being quite the badass yet, as she's not the main character of the games. It's either Claire Redfield or Jill Valentine, who's are going to be side characters as the sequels go on until the reboot comes out, and we'll see how that goes by then. They get to a place where they have us to split up as Alice sees a zombie in a solid cage, as One tells her to keep it tight, meaning faster, and they get into something rather dangerous while One enters a room that if it goes razor saber, you're dead. It's almost like Star Wars with lightsabers that can kill anyone if they're trapped in the room. And that was kind of a cool death when Medic gets her head cut off, I'll say, and some other soldiers get cut in half, and one is cut into a million pieces, which is a vicious death. And not only cheating in the games, but it's also cheating to make the movie at least 90 to 100 minutes long, as this movie is 100 minutes, as it is a better runtime than say Doom with The Rock, for example. But this movie is, from the first 30 minutes, sucks. While putting a trap in the room, a little girl who is with Umbrella tells the soldiers get out and they're all going to die down here, as death begins as it already did for the first four soldiers all in one scene, as it was a cool death, but unfortunately it's rather loud, as this is a loud, violent movie with no brain in its fucking head. The characters are, like I said, caricatures, as they come off very unlikable, as Rain gets bitten by one of those zombies and they shoot it up, and as they're not looking, the zombie escapes as more of them bastards from the undead come in and they shoot all the motherfuckers up in the room as JD dies. And not only is this getting obnoxious, but it's giving me a headache at this point. I don't think I could survive with this Screamers, but honestly, it's not as bad of a movie as Screamers is. It's giving me a headache that I just don't care it. But I have 7 more movies to give in the series, as this is going to be a long fucking series. The special effects are very bad looking, as the series came out the same year as the first Sam Raimi Spider-Man, as this beats it by 2 months. But seriously, these effects look awful. Alice encounters a couple of dead dogs and locks herself in a room as she's locked with another zombie, and knocks that out and realizes she's a badass, and the dogs come in to attack her once again. And there's more where that came from, as she can shoot things and kickboxes a dog dead. And how the hell does she know that is bothering me quite a bit? Matt encounters a dead woman named Lisa, who happens to be a sister, and Alice remembers her from before from visions, and I cannot make sense of what the fuck is going on in her brain, as this movie doesn't, as I'm thinking none of these movies have a brain in its fucking head. Alice goes back to the room where some soldiers died earlier to get the little girl to tell a way to get out of there, as she explains the T virus, as the zombies are killable in the head, which is like any other zombie movie, as it's unoriginal. And the little girl does give them a way out, which shocked the hell out of me. And they run out of they run into a shit ton of zombies. And this action is full of shit, man. I'm telling you, this is full of shit. They're surrounded as Rain keeps getting bitten nonstop and ticking for the longest time, as a soldier almost gives up, and Alice continues to fight as they cross a bridge full of zombies, as the soldier dies, and Alice makes it as another soldier, Kaplan, gets turned into a zombie while he tells the others to get the hell out of there. And they do. Kaplan crawls his way, and Alice, Matt, and the others come out, not outside, but out to another floor, while Rain is sick and vomits and says if she gets out of this, she'll get laid, which is funny in a strange way. And Alice visions what happened in the lab before it all went to hell, and learns there's a cure as she finds it, as she was Lisa's contact. But Matt asks if she betrayed her, but she can't remember. But the mission is unsuccessful, as Spence is the traitor of not only Lisa, but is the villain in this whole movie, which is an obvious twist, and asks Alice to come with him as he points the gun at them. And while he monologues, a zombie comes out of the water and bites Spence in the neck and escapes, as the little girl tells them she created a trap for Spence while he's trying to cure himself, and some creatures come and kill his ass off. And the creature is growing much bigger, and Rain has 20 minutes till she turns into a zombie, and the little girl will give them a code to get out of the room in trade for Rain's life, but instead breaks the code to the little girl. And this scene is way too melodramatic while Kaplan gets them out. And when they reach the room where Spence turned into a zombie, Alice kills him by chopping his head off, and the music while the train is coming sounds like it's from the Fast and the Furious. They try to cure Rain as she dies and comes back alive, and I didn't care at this point, as I'm almost checked out, but not quite there yet, as I've got 15 more minutes of movie left. They get attacked by a monster, and Matt knocks it out while Alice stabs at the remaining of the creature, and suddenly Rain turns into a zombie and shoots her dead in the head while the creature burns in hell, and they close the door under the train as they come back to the mansion with some proof that Umbrella is committing a crime, as Matt is infected, and he's taken to the surgery room while Alice tries to stop them from killing him. And they learn she's not infected, and I thought, no shit! As she's stripped, but has a towel on her, and is plugged in. As she awakens, she pulls the plug off of her, and tries to escape, and learns she's in the hospital, and goes outside to pump a gun, and prepare for war, and the climax was just preposterous as I had a headache as the movie's credits began to roll. Now it's time for the rating. I'll give this movie a 2.1 out of 10. I was checked out before the movie was I was almost checked out before the movie was over as I had 15 minutes left. When I almost got checked out, but it was loud and a violent movie with no brain in its head. The characters are caricatures as they come off very unlikable, as I felt bad for Mila Jovovich as she's the face of the series, as the explanation is typical video game movie bullshit. For at least 100 minutes, I'm in for a bumpy road leading up to the reboot, as this might turn out as bad as Saw or Doom or any other video game movie horror series I could possibly say, and I'm not looking forward to what's coming in the future in this series. So I'd like to thank you guys for joining me, and next time I will be back with Resident Evil Apocalypse. And until then, game over.